me, Clarence! Get me back! Get me back, I don't care what happens to me! Get me back to my wife and kids! Help me, Clarence, please! Please! I want to live again! I want to live again!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Deep Thoughts.
Yeah!
Yeah, this is my wild-headed child.
My name is Amicia, and I'm playing Togo Life here on the tablet. But in my bedroom today, so I would like to have some company about a singing competition and a dancing competition. I'm going to
Okay, Amicia Brown, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll see you next time. Yay! So amazing. So amazing. She's grown up on this podcast almost. 3 years now. 3 years you've been interrupting my podcast. Three out of your 5 years of life.
Lydia.
Okay, that was that. It's been a while. It's been a minute. I don't even know if I want to bring up the day today because who knows when this will go out. Hopefully sometime in February. But it is January 28th, 2024. Happy 2024, everybody. It's been... Oh, boy. It's okay. She's going to go play on her tablet like she always does. Tablet kid. Total tablet kid. It's the year 2024, though. That's okay. In the 90s, we had TV and Super Nintendo. 2024, they have tablets. They've been on tablets, though, man. When was the tablet boom? Was that like 2012 or something? Tablets have been around for a minute now, haven't they? Oh, but yes, it's been a while. It's been since Halloween. Since I've done a podcast. And I'm really making myself do this one. Anyways, I feel a little ill. A little ilk. Feel a little sicky. A little something going on in the throat. Been sneezing. In fact, I gotta sneeze now, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna fight it. But yeah, my head hurts a little bit. But we're doing the dang thing. Let's see if I can talk for an hour. It's been a while. Hope everybody had a good holidays. Had good holidays. Had a good holiday season. Had a good November. Had a good December. And hopefully you're having a good January, which is pretty much over too. Oh, it's been a long winter. Long winter, indeed. In fact, everything kind of got horrible after Christmas, weather-wise. At least here. In the good old middle of the West. The Midwest. Got super cold. Oh, man, just a week of just like 2 degrees, 0 degrees. Had a couple of really bad snows. Me and my wife got our cars stuck several times, mostly her. She needed new tires. $500 later, got some new tires. Hasn't been stuck again since. But my tires were fairly new, and I still got stuck. It was bad. It was bad, slick, icy, horrible weather. And I'm finally now just feeling sick after all of it. I felt perfectly healthy. But now I'm feeling a little sick. So yeah, it's been fun getting stuck in the snow. In a little Honda Civic. What else? Just been chilling. Got the good cuppas here. Ooh, it's still piping hot. Freshly brewed out of the Hamilton Beach 5-cup coffee maker. which I've been abusing lately because I currently do not have a pour-over cone anymore. So I've not been able to do my pour-overs, which is really sad. Love me some pour-over. Which reminds me, I need to do a coffee review here soon, too. It's been a long time since I've done one of those, which is on a separate channel now. I've yet to kind of advertise that. But first, coffee. It's its own YouTube channel now. I took all those videos off of my Super Addy B channel. Put them on their own channel. Seems appropriate. Got a lot going on this channel between the podcast and the skits, which I hope to get back into again. You know, because I was really banging them out in October and September or October. Or let's see, I had a skit in in the summertime I did. Then in October, did like 2. I was making reels out of my stand-up. I was being productive, a productive content creator, a productive YouTuber. You know, had the cast going, and then it all went flat in November, and it's been a long winter. Yes, indeed. I have kept the stand-up, though, going, surprisingly. As much crap as I've talked about that. Or I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but how down I've felt about that really picked up here in the last month. It's been really good, actually. It's been really good. The stand-up has been really good. So, that's good. Working still, good. Making money, good. You know, everything's pretty good. Life, it's wonderful. Is that my segue? I don't know. Is there anything else to talk about? Got the Super Bowl coming up. Is it going to be the Chiefs again? Chiefs and Lions? That'd be a good game. My boys, my Texans, played our hearts out. Can't be too mad. I'm a little mad. We got whooped by the Ravens, but we whooped the Browns. That was cool. Too bad Deshaun Watson hadn't been playing. That'd have been kind of nice. Yeah. No hard feelings to Deshaun Watson, though. But CJ Stroud is the man. Number 7. That's the guy, I hope. Seems like an outstanding gentleman, that CJ Stroud. Yes, good Christian warrior. I like him. Hopefully he is there in Houston for a long time. We need a good face to Houston since like Andre Johnson or J.J. Watt. You know, we need a face to Houston. Okay, I'm going to try this coffee. Perfect. This is Caribou, baby. The Caribou Lou. The Caribou Daybreak. Very good everyday coffee. I haven't had any, that's one reason why I haven't done any coffee reviews. I haven't had any special coffees or interesting coffees, really. I've been kind of going for what I know lately. Lots of Caribou, lots of Camerons, which I would like to make a video, though, on my favorite coffees. Specifically, I kind of store-bought ones. But a lot of Dunkin'. Been drinking a lot of Dunkin', boy. That's my OG. It's my go-to. That's my ride or die. Love me some Dunkin'. It's where it all kind of started for me as far as coffee goes. I'm going to have to crop this. You see my dresser over here? I can't tell. I'm looking at the screen. I can't tell. Got a new addition to the toys. Vegeta. My guy. So sports, yeah. Super Bowl's coming up. That'll be cool. What else? What else has been going on? Politics. I don't know. Boy, I've been so out of the politics, which is, I guess, good for me. Although it'd be good to know what's going on. I don't know. I just kind of treated these last few years like a clown show. I'm not, I'm in and out. But 2024 obviously is going to be a big year. Huge. We'll see what happens. No doubt it's been a crazy last, 8 years. I think everyone feels that. At least a lot of people do. Kind of a shift in things into our timeline, into our universe as we know it, maybe. I don't know. It's been odd. been extra odd, or maybe it hasn't. I don't know. Maybe life's always been this crazy, and I just didn't notice it as a wee lad or a teenager. But it seems especially crazy. I think we all knew 2020 was going to be weird. You can almost bet every 4 years, every election year. Especially since 2016. I wonder why. But, so I think some interesting things will happen this year. Hopefully nothing terrible. It's already started off okay. I kind of really was expecting January 1st, 2024 to be like just some boom, some big boom, something catastrophic was going to happen, but thankfully it didn't. The most we got is Cat Williams. It's the most craziness we got so far, right? Right? Has anything else really crazy been happening in other countries? What happened to that Ukraine war? Don't hear much about that. I think there's a new COVID variant coming out, or hopefully. Jeez, been waiting on it like Grand Theft Auto 6. Or Elder Scrolls 6, depending on what kind of gamer you are. I've been waiting for both. Yeah, where's the new COVID variant? Come on. What else? Anything else? Israel, Palestine, still a thing? I don't know. I pray every day for everybody, though. I pray every day for everybody all in the world who needs help, needs something, is going through something horrible or catastrophic or crazy, all around the world. Pray for everybody in their daily experiences and in life. And that everyone is doing their best and fighting, trying to survive. Got it real good here. Got it real good here in my life. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about. Because it's a wonderful life. That's my segue. It's a bit late to talk about a Christmas movie, but kind of... It is a Christmas movie, but it kind of pertains to life in general at any time, really. Especially when you're going through tough times, which of course isn't not exclusive to the holidays, although sometimes that makes it a little more difficult when things are bad around the holidays. It's a wonderful life. But I felt it was important to do this episode. The Marxism one is coming. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about Marxism. Eventually. Maybe one day. I don't know. I've not been wanting to do the homework or the research on it. But this one came to my mind. I watched It's a Wonderful Life this Christmas Eve, like I always do every year. And it seems like every time I watch it, I get a little bit something else out of it. Notice something new or something that I just didn't notice before. Something that I can connect maybe to my own life or just life in general. Which is crazy for a movie that came out in like 1946. I think most people know the movie It's a Wonderful Life. It's been spoofed and parodied, probably to death. The idea of somebody, seeing life, spoilers, seeing what life would be like if they were ever born. That's an idea that's been probably done a lot, probably before this and since. But that's like the end of the movie anyways. It's not the whole movie. The whole movie is the build up to that and the why it's so impactful. To see how you've affected people's lives. I'll talk about the movie a bit for those who have not seen it. If you haven't, I know it's old. They got a colored version, which I guess was controversial when it came out, that when they made a colored version. Or you can watch it in black and white. And it's, some people have a real big problem watching things in black and white. I don't care, as long as the movie's good. Yeah, my mom introduced me to this movie. I can't remember exactly when. It had to have been a long time ago. I don't know when I started watching it every Christmas Eve. And I'm sure I haven't every Christmas Eve, but I definitely try. I know the last, at least 3 years I have. 2 or 3 years. But my mom said that, she watches it every Christmas Eve. And it's not something I really realized growing up as a kid. I don't remember It's a Wonderful Life being on when I was a kid, but she said she makes sure to watch it every Christmas Eve. And so now that's what I try to do. Had to have been I don't know, at least 10 plus years ago. Maybe when I was in high school when I found this out, or when I very first watched it with my mom, I believe. Maybe I was 20. I don't know. I cannot remember. Drugs. I'm telling you. But when I very first saw it, it was kind of just like a nice, I don't know, homey Christmas movie, Christmassy, and it's got that charm from the 40s, I guess. It's kind of funny. Love me some James Stewart. He's amazing. But yeah, it didn't really blow me away, or I didn't really get anything out of it. I don't think the first few times I watched it, but I don't know, these last couple of watches, 2 or 3, in the last 2 or 3 years, especially this last one, really hit me hard. I think about 2 years ago is the first time I watched it and I cried. A little bit, not like a real big cry, just just tears running down the face a little bit, I think anytime I get my wife to try to watch it, she falls asleep. That's just how she is. She's amazing. She is so amazing. It's a Wonderful Life. So if you don't know what it's about or haven't seen it, it's about, first off, just a little bit about it. I didn't do a deep dive. It is a 1946 movie based off of a short story called The Greatest Gift by Philip Van Doren Stern. That is right. 4 names. Philip Van Doren Stern. A short story. That was pretty different, but keeps the same basic kind of concept or idea, I believe. This movie was directed by James Capra, famous director. Directed lots of famous movies. Ones that aren't coming to mind right now. Gone with the Wind or something? No. He directed a lot of famous movies, including, I think, another James Stewart movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which I need to watch that. I haven't watched that since government class in high school. I feel like that's another movie that I would love to watch now as a 30-year-old man who is into the politics. And I love me some James Stewart. But yeah, so James Stewart working with James Capra again on this movie, and also starring Donna Reed as Mary. And this had several different writers, and I guess there was kind of a big stink on who got the credits at the end. Lots of different changes to the story. Many different versions, I guess, how it started out and what ended up being the final product. I guess some people complained about working with James Capra, and he was a big meanie. But whatever. Who cares? Seems like a good director. I guess he said that this is one of his favorite projects ever, and same James Stewart, he said the same thing. So this movie takes place in a place called Bedford Falls, which James Capra said was supposed to be like an every town, but some people seem to think it's Seneca, New York, and they actually have a celebration for this movie every year. It starts off with these 3 angels talking, and they're just stars in the sky. Joseph and Clarence, and I can't remember the other one. But they're talking, and they're giving Clarence the rundown on what his mission's going to be. And it's about this kid named George Bailey. And so they're showing him like the life of George Bailey, played by James Stewart, to catch him up on things before he sets out on his mission to save George Bailey. So you get to see George as a kid. He has a little brother named Harry who falls through a sheet of ice and almost drowns, but George dives in to save his life. But because of that, he can't hear out of his left ear, I believe. So he saves his little brother's life. He works at a little soda pop joint or whatever for this guy named Mr. Gower, who's an abusive drunk. And we get introduced to Mary and Violet, two female main characters. And this Mr. Gower that George works for, he almost accidentally takes poison, or he almost accidentally... I always get confused by this scene because it's so visually done, kind of. He has poison in capsules, I think, and I think he was planning on killing himself with them because he was super sad that his son had died, and he needed George to go take some medicine over to the pharmacy or something. And he accidentally gives George the poison pills. So George finds out that he has poison pills that he was going to take, but also he was about to go send them to other people and kill other people. I think that's what happened. I used to think that he was just going to take the pills, and George stopped him from taking the pills. But, that's my ADD brain, kind of paying attention, not paying attention. But no, I think if you really pay attention, you find out Mr. Gower's son died. He's very sad. George acknowledges that he's very sad. And Mr. Gower is trying to send George to go take medicine to the pharmacy, I think, or something like that. Anyways. So George stops that from happening, saves more lives. And then we skip to George being... Oh, also, George is also, he's always talking about wanting to travel the world. And, this is the kind of person that he is. He's a young, spry lad. He's ambitious. He wants to travel and see the world. And so we jump forward to him being grown-up George, played by Mr. Jimmy James Stewart.
Joe, now look, I want a big one.
The great. And if you don't know who James Stewart is, just look him up. He's probably been spoofed so many times. He's a guy that talks like this. I want a big one.
I want a big one.
You want the moon, Mary? I'll get you the moon, Mary. James Stewart. He's amazing. Handsome fella. Josh Hawley reminds me of James Stewart. And he's, we cut to him. He's trying to buy a briefcase, and he's immediately talking about traveling. He's about to go to school. He's getting ready to travel the world. He's excited. And... well, basically, in the movie, Violet's all grown up, Mary's all grown up, these people are grown up, and you think really he's going to have a thing with Violet first, because they're always flirting around, but he ends up getting with Mary, who really loves him, and when they were a kid, there's a part in the beginning where she whispers in his ear that he can't hear out of, George Bailey, I'm going to love you to the day you die, or to the day I die, or something like that. So George gets reintroduced to Mary. They have this scene where they dance in a gymnasium, and the floor opens up as part of a prank to a swimming pool. And there's all this talk about this swimming pool. Oh, did you hear about the new swimming pool they put in? I don't know why this scene was so important. Somebody wrote this scene and was like, this would be so amazing. This would be such an amazing scene if we had the floor open up to a pool, and they're dancing by the pool, and everybody jumps into the pool, and the pool, and the pool, and the pool. Which I guess is actually still there, and it's in Beverly High School or something like that. Beverly Hills High School or something. And, but you had all this, what's that word called? What's that word? Exposition? Or, foreshadowing of all these people talking about, did you hear about the new pool they put in? And so anyway, so they go to this, party, George is reintroduced to Mary. They end up, everybody ends, as everyone's dancing and stuff, and then these boys, they as a prank, to try to embarrass George Bailey, I think, open up the pool, right? Open up the floor to the pool, and everyone's like freaking out about it. Like, oh my gosh. But George and Mary are just so into each other dancing that they don't even notice. And they keep kind of dancing away from the pool and then dancing towards the pool. And every time they dance towards the pool, everyone's like, oh my gosh. And start freaking out like they're about to go into the pool. And then they finally fall into the pool. I don't know. It is a good little scene. It is a good scene, but it's just like, why? Why? Then it's funny because then everybody else jumps in. And so the whole plan to embarrass him backfired. Because he's George Bailey. He's the best. Everybody loves him. So, basically, a series of events happen. His dad owns a bank, and he's fighting with this guy, Mr. Potter, the big bad guy of the movie. Mr. Potter, he's a loan guy or whatever, and it's a lot of banking stuff in this movie. It's interesting to see 1940s banking things and how it's hasn't changed that much. Honestly, it's about giving people loans. Mr. Potter's like, Bailey, you're always giving people loans that don't deserve loans, blah, 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 And so, Mr. Bailey's like the good banker. He's the banker for the people. And so, as George Bailey's getting ready to go to school, there's things hold him back. He's not able to go to school. He has to stay and take over the bank for his dad when he passes. And he ends up getting with Mary, and Mary. And so, she wants to get this house, this old house that's really, I don't know. Excuse me. That's like really well known in town. It's like this horrible house, and she wants to make it their house. And so he stays in Bedford. They get married. They move into this house. He has like 4 children with her. And so basically all these dreams of traveling never happen. Things keep him in Bedford Falls where he grew up. Things keep him at his dad's job, where he didn't want to be in his dad's business. All these things happen that seem like he like life didn't work out the way he wanted. But he's a very much loved person in this town. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He's always like I said, kind of battling the rival Potter. And some other people like in his life, like he's got this friend named Sam. Hee-haw! If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Who gets like rich, founding this like glass business or something. He invites George to like come along, but George doesn't go. He stays in Bedford Falls. His brother Harry is like a war hero. So these other, people in his life are kind of living, I guess I would say like grandiose lives, and he kind of feels like he's not. Anyways, his Uncle Billy, who's very forgetful and has to tie things around his fingers to remember things, like little ropes around his fingers for each one for a thing he has to remember. He also has a crow, which apparently is a very famous crow used in like thousands of movies for like spanning like the 40s and 50s. And he's very forgetful, and he leaves like $8,000 somewhere, which is a lot of money, obviously, back then. And he tells George that he can't find the money. And George freaks out, and everybody freaks out. And he goes to Mr. Potter about it and asks for a loan. And, he has nothing to give Mr. Potter, but it's like his life insurance policy. And, Mr. Potter says he's going to call the police on him because, losing that money is like illegal. So now, George Bailey, he's so distraught, and he just feels like this is the worst thing that ever could happen. He's, to quote him, at the end of his rope. Even though it's like, I don't know, is it that much to freak out about? I guess, it would be. That's a large sum of money to lose. It's money that you owe other people. It would be a very stressful situation, no doubt. So, he thinks he's about to get locked up and go to prison. He goes to his friend's bar, gets drunk, crashes his car into a tree. There's a really good scene though before that where he's at the bar. Like I said, he says, he prays to God, and he tells God he's at the end of his rope, and he needs his guidance, and he doesn't know what to do. So, and he also gets punched because he went off on this teacher's wife because his daughter. I guess I'm kind of skipping some things. His daughter Zuzu gets sick because she didn't have her coat on, and so he yells at the teacher and her husband on the phone about it because he's all angry and mad. This is after he found out he lost the money. He comes home after, he found out he lost the money, and he starts yelling at everybody, yelling at his kids. But when he talks to his little daughter Zuzu, she has a rose, and one of the petals falls off, and he pretends to fix it, but he really puts the petals in his pocket, which comes into play later. But anyways, he freaks out on his family, and that's when he runs out to the bar, which the teacher's husband happens to be there and punches him in the face. Then he crashes his car into a tree, and then he gets to a bridge where he's going to jump off and kill himself. I don't know. I'm no expert in film, or the 40s or 30s or, that time period, but, obviously to see a movie today about somebody about to commit suicide or kill themselves, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's been done so many times, and in society, suicide is such a common thing now, and it's just, it's a dark subject. But back then, how often, was suicide talked about, or how often did it happen, I wonder. And so seeing that, portrayed in this movie where a man is about to kill himself by jumping off a bridge in 1946, I don't know. It hits hard for some reason. This guy is very depressed, very distraught, or I don't know if I'd say depressed, but he's at the end of his rope, he feels. Out of all the things that keep happening to him, to keep him at home, because when sometimes when you have like a good life, like when you have a life that you've accepted is good, say for like this house I'm in for instance, I could see the good in it, but I could see the bad in it too, depending on where my mental state is or where my mind is. Right? When I first got this house, it's like, oh, this house is, it's got some problems here and there, but it's kind of nice. It's got some personality to it, got some character to it, it's got some good qualities too. So I'm going to ignore like the bad things, because maybe I'm in a good mood today, or I'm in a good place in my life right now, things are going good, yada yada. But then when things start to go bad, then all of a sudden you start bringing out the bad things, like, I hate this house. I've always hated this house. I hate that this house, the closets are too small. I always hated that, all because of you're just in a bad mood or something bad is happening to you in your life now. So you're looking at things more negatively. And that's what George does, he's in this horrible house, but he made it a home with the love of his life, Mary, and it's a house that she wanted, and so they made it like work. It's this like kind of rundown house, but they made it a good home for themselves and their family. But then all of a sudden when he's angry, he's complaining about the house, and this old drafty house, So that's just where he kind of is in his headspace, And I don't think there's any lines really when he's upset that are about him staying in Bedford Falls, but I imagine that plays a lot into it as well, like why he's so angry and upset that not only did his uncle lose his money, but he shouldn't even be at this banking job, He shouldn't even be there. He should had been traveling, He should be living a different life, right? Because this is not what he planned on at all. But this is his life in the situation he's in now. So he is going to jump off the bridge, but somebody else falls from the sky first. This is Clarence the Angel, and this is where his mission starts to save George Bailey. So George, like he saved his brother, dives into the water and saves Clarence. And so Clarence tries to tell him he's an angel. George doesn't really believe him. And then George says that he wishes he was never been alive. And so Clarence makes it happen. And all of a sudden he's in a world where he's never been born. And Clarence shows him how different things are. Now it's not Bedford Falls anymore. It's Potterville, and it's just full of like strip clubs and bars and stuff. And everybody's miserable, and or rather involved in shady things. I don't know. Like Violet, she's like a dancer now, and he finds her, and she's kind of, I don't know. Again, that's another scene. I don't really know what's going on. There's this crowd of people, and they're all pushing her and shoving her and stuff, and he tries to get in and tries to talk to her, but she's like, I don't know who you are, you freak, because nobody knows who he is because he's never been born. And it takes George several instances to, like, really realize, like, and that would happen, though, too. Like, somebody tells you, okay, well, I'm going to show you what it's like. I'm an angel, and I'm going to show you what life is like if you've never been born. It's going to take probably several instances for you to realize that that's what's going on. First, he goes to find his car. His car's gone. Oh, he just, somebody must have took my car. He talks to Bert, like the cop or whatever, and Bert doesn't know who he is, and he's kind of confused. Oh, I don't know why Bert's acting like he doesn't know who I am, blah, blah, blah. Tells him to take him to his house. The cop's confused because he's like, that nobody lives in that house. They go there. Nobody lives there, of course. So he finally starts to, understand. He checks his pockets. No Zuzu pedals. No life insurance policy in his pocket anymore. Nothing. And so he starts to finally realize, like, this is what life is like if he's never lived. If you've never been born. And you see how he affected Bedford Falls just by, being alive and living the life that he lived, staying in Bedford Falls, taking over the bank, because now Potter rules everything. And then, of course, he goes, the final straw is he goes to see Mary, who's working at a library, who doesn't know who he is. And so seeing all of these things, horrible things, he goes back to the bridge and he prays to God that he won't, in a famous scene, I want to live, Clarence, I want to live.
Get me back! Get me back, I don't care what happens to me. Get me back to my wife and kids. Help me, Clarence, please. Please. I want to live again. I want to live again.
He wants to be alive, and then it changes back, and the cop, Bert, comes and finds him, and he knows who he is, and George is so overjoyed that Bert knows who he is, and to be alive, he runs back through Bedford Falls, just saying hi to everybody, and this is really this is the end of the movie, and this is where we get to Christmas. The rest of the movie is not centered around Christmas at all, until you get to this very end, where this all happens around, like, Christmas. Which, makes it a little more, I don't know, something about Christmas, makes it a little more special. That's when you're supposed to be realizing how important life is, right? You got your friends and family around, and that's around Christmas time usually. So he goes back home, and the cops are there, and they're waiting for him, and it's funny because he tells the cops or the agents or whatever, he's like, I'm going to jail, isn't it great? He's so happy just to be alive. And Mary's not there, and he's wondering where she is, and then she comes home, and she brings all of his friends home, and they all give him money to help him. And then it gets to the point where, even the person who has a warrant out for his arrest rips it up. His brother comes in, Harry comes in, Sam calls him and says he's going to loan him money, and everyone's taking care of him. George realizes, like, he's got nothing to worry about because he's got all of his friends and family. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful ending where they all sing Auld Lang Syne. And George is holding Zuzu and got Mary by his side, and he sees a copy of Clarence's book, his Tom Sawyer book, and on the inside, it says, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. And thanks for the wings, because it's another thing, too. Clarence is trying to get his wings. And every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. It's a beautiful ending. It's one of my favorite endings of any movie ever. And this is one of my favorite movies ever. And I don't know if it's my favorite Christmas movie, though, because it's hard to beat A Christmas Story. But arguably, this is a more important Christmas movie. This is an important movie, I think. And yeah, the last few times I've watched it, though, it's just really hit home. Just all the themes that it's kind of covering and who George is and things I just didn't pick up on, like the first few times I watched it. because I think a lot of people can relate to, having dreams, of course, growing up, having a vision of your life, of what it's going to be like. And whether that be who you're going to marry, or where you're going to go to school, or what job you're going to have, or where you're going to live. And then you're faced with certain decisions that you have to make. And sometimes it leads you down a completely different path you never thought you would be on. Maybe one that you hoped you wouldn't be on. And, that's something that I've thought about a lot these last few years. I was kind of on a journey myself when I turned 20. And I had this vision of this life of where I'm going to be a filmmaker and I'm going to make movies and they're going to be so good, of course, because I'm the best. And I'm going to make so much money and I'm going to move out to California or whatever. And, here I am in the Midwest 10 years later. I've made one movie, technically, a short film back in 2016, and that's it. I'm working at a factory. I didn't graduate college. And I'm still living in the same town that I've been in for the last 15 years. This is my Bedford Falls. And it makes me think, though, like, how am I still here? Because I really, and not very long ago, very recently, I've been very down about that and where I am in my life. And I wonder, how am I still here in this town, 15 years later or 10 years later after I thought I was going to be, something else or somewhere else, That's where I really kind of start things at when I turned 20. When I turned 20, I felt like it was like ready, set, go. I was like, okay, I know what I want out of life and I'm going to go for it. And I often think, especially when I get real sad and depressed about my life, which is a stupid thing because it's a wonderful life. But when I think about what happened. What are all the things that I've went through to still be here or to be working this job, or, what decisions did I make? And it's very easy to look at things as failures. And that's how I look at my life, and I'm trying to look at it differently. But all my failures, my failure of when I made my very first short film of properly, distributing it, promoting it. It's like I sent it to one film festival that I think was a scam because it just took my money and it never, to my knowledge, the film festival never happened. I remember I said I was going to put it on DVDs and give it to people, and never did that. And I just kind of let it. I was so I was embarrassed about it, even though it's not a great movie, but it's my first movie, and there's a lot of things to be proud of it. But I wasn't kind of embarrassed about it at the time, and I just wanted to make another one and do better. And I, in my brain, it was like I have to get money to make another movie because I spent money on that. And I need to get to writing again and write a new script for a new movie, and this is what I'm going to do. And then, things happened. I became a drunk, started drinking all the time, and working a job that paid me like $8 an hour. And I couldn't afford anything. And I had to ask my dad to help me with bills and rent. But I didn't try to find a better job that pays more. And then I finally decided to quit drinking and get sober. And then, I was still working a job where I made like $10 an hour. And I kind of lost track of the wanting to even make movies or anything anymore. And I started to get very involved in politics and thought that was going to be my thing. And I just loved talking about politics and learning about it and learning about history and, didn't really work on anything and didn't really care as much about the whole movie making thing until I did again. And then all of a sudden I'm 27 years old and I'm like, crap, I haven't been working on anything. And, school, And I could look at that as a failure, that I failed at college. I failed too many classes. They took my financial aid away. I had, I couldn't keep paying $1,000, or more for classes, and eventually just kind of dropped out. And so finally at 27, I was like, the least I could do right now is make money, And that was one of the best decisions I ever made, where I started working in a factory where I still work 3 years later and make good money. Now it's like I'm 30, and man, it's like crazy how that 10 years went by. Like it's just like so much happened in the middle. It's like it started off where I had these dreams and these passions, and then I started to have to make these other decisions, to stay in school or not to stay in school, to keep drinking until I die or to try to stop drinking. I could have maybe been less passionate about politics, I don't know, and conspiracy theories, because I was just obsessing over it every day and spending all my time just reading the news and reading things on the internet every day, which is why I'm also not as into it right now, because it's very time consuming. Very time consuming to try to get involved in politics, even though it's very important. But that's why most of us don't, because we have so much already consuming our time. And so I look at my life and all the things that I tried to do and that didn't work out because of XYZ, because didn't commit fully to doing well in school, or didn't commit fully to making a movie, or didn't commit fully to trying to make more money when I should have been, And it's like, what do you do with that information, though? Is it like things that, like, I failed at, or just things that happened for a reason, Maybe the movie thing didn't work out because I needed to work in a factory instead and make good money for my family. And I've been in the same little house for the last, 5.5 years. And it would be, nice to be in a nicer, bigger home eventually. But it's done the trick. It's kept giving me my family shelter. I've been able to afford it. We've had a lot of great Christmases and stuff here. And we found this house exactly the time we needed it, because we were in an even smaller home 5 years ago where we found out that, my wife is pregnant and that we need a bigger home. And we landed this one immediately. And it's served its purpose. It's just got me just constantly wondering, because I've tried to envision all these things for my life and how do I achieve them. And it's just one thing keeps getting knocked down after the other, except for some of the things that haven't been, like finding a good job and making money, that worked out. Maybe because that was supposed to work out. I don't know. I'm always thinking about what's God's plan, what's the path he has for me? What's my purpose and stuff? And it's just like, you can envision your life any way, you want, and sometimes you'll make it work. Sometimes you won't. What's that great quote? Nobody laughs more at plans than God, or something like that. Because I think he's already got a plan for everybody. And that's a very hard thing to conceptualize, that God has a plan for the gazillions of people that have all been born throughout the history of time. Every single person had a plan or purpose. I think so, though. I actually think so. But sometimes I think we think it's going to be bigger than what it really is. And sometimes that plan is just to create life and be the best father or husband you can be and make other people happy, I've affected other people just by being alive, and we all have. Every single one of us. And if we were never here in the first place, that would slightly alter everybody's life, kind of, that has known us or come in contact with us. You know, without me, there'd be no my daughter. You know, and who knows what she's going to do with her life and who she's going to affect. You know, she could do something truly amazing that changes the world, and it's all because I was born and alive and made my decisions and choices. And that's life. It's a wonderful life. You know, maybe we're not all George Bailey, who literally is like the most famous guy in our town or whatever, or the most famous person in his town. But we all have affected people in our little lives, on our day-to-day. And it's important that we're here and we continue living so we can continue to affect life and other lives. It's very important. All of our lives are very important, no matter big or small they seem. And, you know, I've had the most wonderful life. You know, I mean, I moved here when I was 15 years old, and I thought it was the most depressing thing ever. I thought my life was over. I hated it so much when I moved here. But I met my soulmate. At 15 years old, I met a girl in French class and bugged the heck out of her until she gave me her phone number, and we started talking and hanging out, and she's my wife today, yo. Like, that's insane, and we have a 5-year-old kid. Like, I would just love to go back in time to 15-year-old Adam, who was crying his eyes out. Boo, I hate that I moved and I'm at a new school and I hate my life. Boo. Like, dude, you're about to meet this beautiful girl and she's going to get with you and you're going to spend, like, the rest of your life with her. And it's going to be amazing. You know, I'd love to tell myself that. Because, you know, that's a part of my life that I've taken heavily for granted. You know, because when you meet someone when you're 15, you still have lots of goals and aspirations, and you can only hope that that person shares them with you as you get older, but people change as you get older. Are you still going to want to do the same things when you're 20 as you did when you were 15? Probably not. Maybe, but probably not. And, you know, how's that person you're with going to adapt to it? Or how are you going to adapt to their dreams and passions and what they want to do? And me and my wife have always made it work. And there's been times where I've been so selfish with what I want to do. And she still just supports me. Still does. And it's like, you know, it's hitting me. It's really hit me. It's like, it doesn't really matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I achieve or succeed at. Because I've already got that major win. I got her. So it doesn't matter what else happens. And it sounds cheesy, but it doesn't really matter what else happens in my life, you know, personally to me. As long as I have her and we have each other. Because we're going to go through it all together anyways. And yes, you know, we could be in a little bit of a bigger house or something like that. But it's good though. It's really good as long as we have each other. We always have made it work in every situation we've ever been in. And that's a real soulmate right there. You know, just immediately, since we were 15, 16, years old, immediately making decisions together and immediately being comfortable with each other, you know. When we moved into our first place at age 19, it was just so like, I mean, it was exciting, of course, but it was so like obvious and comfortable, and it felt so good to move out on our own. And, man. And it's just like, so many people don't have that. So many people at 19 are looking for roommates and stuff to live with. And, and I already had the most perfect roommate ever, my soulmate. And we've just, like normal people, we fight. But it's amazing how well we've gotten along from age 15 to 30. With all that we've changed. And we still just get along so good. That's my soulmate, yo. That's my soulmate. And I can be a real selfish jerk. But I'm going to try to make sure she knows that she's my soulmate and my love all the time. And we're going to be together forever, I think. And it's a wonderful life. That is a wonderful life. No matter what else happens. And that's how this movie hits me now. It makes me think of these things. Especially this time when I watched it. Watching George struggle, with the idea of staying in Bedford Falls, moving into that crappy, drafty home, losing that money. At the end of the day, though, he had his family. He had Mary through it all. She stuck with him through everything. Had his kids. So nothing else really mattered. And, of course, all of his friends. That's what life is all about, Charlie Brown. It's a great movie. It's a great movie that I think, I won't say everybody should watch, but you might get something out of it you don't even realize. Because it's amazing, like I said, how much I keep getting out of it, And I'm just like, oh, I am George Bailey. I am George Bailey. When you feel like you're at the end of your rope, and maybe you don't want to pray, but just know you still got a purpose and you got to stick around. You got to. And you're still affecting people's lives, and you might think people would be better off with you gone, but probably not. Probably not, unless you're just the most vile, disgusting, evil human being who's never done good for anybody. But that doesn't even, that doesn't necessarily mean you might not change one day and become a good person and still positively affect people's lives. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. This movie lost money when it came out. It had mixed reviews, and it did lose some money, but now it is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. And there's a good reason why. The acting's great. I feel like the writing's good and the dialogue's good for a movie in the 1940s. Not everyone's going to relate to it, of course, but I sure do. And I'm going to keep watching it every Christmas Eve and remember that, I'm living, it's a wonderful life. I'm living it. I'm living a wonderful life, and I'm just going to keep trying to make the best decisions I can to keep this good life going. It's going to do it for this episode of Deep Thoughts, y'all. I can't believe we made it an hour. I got to go do some grocery shopping. I got some clothes to fold. We got to get ready for the work week because we're on that grind, boy. We are on that grind. I'm going to keep drinking coffee, even though I need to cut back. I'm going to keep trying to be healthier. I'm going to keep trying. I'm just going to keep trying. I'm just going to keep trying at life. And you should too. Remember to think freely, think often. I love you guys. And hopefully see you soon. Not 3 months from now. You want to say bye, Amicia?
Bye.
Now she's upset because I yelled at her earlier to get lost. I love her. I love her to death. Hopefully see you guys soon.